Hi there. Old man yelling at clouds here. I just had a few thoughts I wanted to throw out into the wilds in relation to the current opinion piece du jour in the gaming section of the internet at the moment, and that is Highguard. Now, I haven't played Highguard, no interest in playing Highguard, but I've been sort of just hearing a lot of different opinions and discourse around it over the last few days, and in particular noticed there's been a lot of negative criticism coming from different consumer-based sources, streamers, content creators, etc. And on the other hand, there's been this sort of defense of Highguard from sort of industry creatives and game developers from other studios, and that actually sort of really struck a nerve, especially the sentiment coming from a lot of, well, I'm not sure if a lot is the right term, but a few game developers and industry creatives expressing sort of disappointment of this preconceived negativity, of this negative reaction coming out for a creative product before it was released, of this whole quote-unquote rage baiting from various people who were poisoning the audience, and this whole sentiment of we don't like to see someone's creative efforts being bashed in this way. And the reason why this sort of struck a nerve with me is because isn't this like, you do realise that that's a completely self-inflicted wound, that the games industry is beyond what any one consumer may say, what any one popular streamer may say. The games industry is to blame for the state of affairs, completely and utterly. It's a completely self-inflicted wound. As someone whose first gaming console, or wasn't even a console back then, was a Amiga 500 way back in the day, I've had the privilege of seeing a large part of gaming history unfold and been a gamer my whole life. And especially in the last, say, 10 or 15 years, there's been this notable shift gradually, and it's picked up pace, is that the figureheads of the gaming industry, the big companies, the EAs, the Blizzards, the Activisions, the Bethesdas, the companies that once has had these proud and storied track records, who once had every release being met with feverish celebration and almost blind faith from their consumers, no matter what they were going to release. It didn't matter. It was a Blizzard game, it was a Bethesda game. Everyone was excited. Everyone had this expectation. It was this the seal of quality. They had built the records and the track records and the reputation to cultivate that kind of loyalty and that kind of reaction, that kind of just belief that things were going to be good. But in the last 10, 15 years, that reputation has slowly been destroyed by the gaming industry themselves. You've sought more and more ways to tighten your purse strings. You've sought more and more ways to squeeze the customer for every little bit of not only money but attention you can get from them. You have the prevalence of things like battle passes, the proliferation and use of dark patterns, the explosion of genres like gacha games, games with a million different currencies that you have to convert from one to the other to the other to the other. How many games these days release without paid cosmetics? And when one does nowadays, it's seen as some kind of exception rather than the standard. They're held up as like the brave lone soldiers still fighting the good fight. Developers like who makes games like Baldur's Gate or Expedition 33, they're seen as these sort of paragons of like these last gunslingers of the West. And this is what you've become. Instead of expecting a quality product that we can enjoy from you, what we expect now is a live service battle pass monstrosity. And do you even have phones? Do you not have phones? Whatever. And this is the atmosphere that you've created. This is the expectation you've created. This is, instead of excitement, we roll our eyes. And the bar is lowered every year of games coming out buggy, unfinished, lacking half the features that were promised and advertised during their marketing campaigns. And you expect the customers still, your consumers, who once were your fans, to just sit there and smile at what everything that you're given. And I mean, isn't that just a little ridiculous? You have created this monster, and you have created the entitled, jaded, frustrated gamer who looks at everything with skepticism and doesn't have any patience for any of your tricks, because instead of a new breed of shooter that Highguard was purportedly meant to represent, we also see right on that tag free-to-play live service. And we know that the new breed of shooter is still going to have all the old breed of battle pass microtransaction bullshit. And I don't really want to get into the whole art style, woke, whatever of the game. I don't give a crap about that sort of stuff. Like, you could have the most generic art style, the wokest characters, whatever. I don't care. If the game was good, then it doesn't matter to me at all. But sorry, you've 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 forfeited the privilege of expecting us to be naive, expecting us to be nice, to look at your whatever you offer us. You've lost our trust, so what do you expect? Everything is going to be scrutinized because everything needs to be scrutinized because there are so few examples left, especially in the AAA space, of games that aren't riddled with bugs, with microtransactions, with features decided on by a committee of investors and shareholders and venture capitalists and yada yada yada, rather than a couple of dudes going, you know what would be sweet? That's sort of the vibe's off, and it's your fault, not ours. So you reap what you sow.